changes or modifications to the minutes that were circulated?
I'll approve to.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
So item 6, just the agenda items, A, C, it said, Kapai analysis was conducted. The members requested confirmation that specific individuals known to conduct ceremonies were included. So was that members here?
Is that you? Are you looking at the Kahukumana meeting?
No, because it came before the guy. So because you remember we rearranged the agenda.
No, but are you looking at,
The minutes?
Sarah, did we send Kahukumana minutes to them?
No,
I don't think
No,
so.
no,
didn't,
you
right?
No.
Okay, so I do know that question came up at Kahukumana,
Okay.
and they have requested confirmation that cultural practitioners that we know of who practice on the mountain were part of the outreach, which we have confirmed.
Okay. You'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
I
looked at it earlier. Yeah,
So
it's, I don't recall if it was members of Maunakea Management Board, but I do know that Kahukumana requested confirmation of that item.
And it was confirmed, but
So we can, I'll make a motion to, I can make a motion to approve the minutes, and we can clarify that that was a Kahukumana request.
Okay, what's interesting is the minutes go from 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So I don't know where 6 is.
That might just be my error.
no, 6 is the one that I was talking about. It comes before 4.
It goes,
Because we reversed it in the meeting.
it goes 3,
Oh, I see.
5 to
It went from 3 to 6
5
to
to 4.
4 to,
Yeah, because we changed the order of in the meeting.
yeah.
okay, so actually that is item 6 and should be further down in the minutes. Is that correct?
we
After
can-
Kahukumana?
Yeah, we can put it in the right order. I think Sarah was just capturing it in the order that we covered it in the meeting.
Right, right.
But we can put it in the order that is consistent with the agenda.
Well, I would think because the decision was made to take things out of order, the minutes should reflect the order in which they were discussed, rather than the order in which they appeared on the agenda.
Okay, so that's how it should be done, Gary?
I think so. I mean, if there's some confusion because of the cross references, maybe that can be explained in the minutes, but I think the discussion should follow the order that occurred at the meeting.
Okay,
So Gary, then it's okay to keep the numbers incorrect, the numbering incorrect, because it sounds like it corresponds with the order in which the topics were covered.
Yes, although if it can be expressed more clearly to avoid future uncertainty, I think you could do that.
okay.
So maybe if the motion is to make technical corrections to clear that up if needed, or just leave it the way it is.
Now we'll clear it up. So
So-
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with technical corrections to clarify that the agenda was taken out of order. So the minutes reflect that. And also to clarify the issue of members requesting confirmation of who was part of the outreach.
Does that answer your question or comment, Andy?
Yeah, it does. The minute already says that it was taken out of order. The only thing that I thought needed clarifying was who were these members that are talked about, and I think it's now Kahukumana.
Yeah, it is.
So maybe that's what it needs to say, Kahuku Mauna members.
Yeah. So I'll amend the motion to approve the minutes with the technical clarification on item 6D. Is that it?
6C.
6C.
E. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Julie. I have a motion to approve the minutes with the correction as stated by Greg Chun. All in favor, say aye as amended. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion, minutes approved as amended. Okay, we will move on to Kahuku report.
Okay, so I'm gonna cause an issue next time. I'd like to take things out of order again, please.
Well, you know what to do.
We'd like to take up item 6A, the draft EA underground fuel storage unit replacement item first, if we could, and then we can loop back to my executive director's report.
That's fine,
So-
but are you gonna cover Kahuku
Yeah.
first?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I will cover Kahuku in my executive director's report.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so before we jump into it, I've asked Rodrigo to provide a little refresher here on the overview of this project. At our last meeting, we shared the draft EA for the decommissioning of the underground fuel storage tanks at Halepohaku and its replacement. So hopefully you've had time over the last month since the last meeting to review that report. The purpose of today's meeting is to formally get your feedback on anything in the report that is a question you have a question about, or that you would like clarification on, or that you would like to like us to integrate into the recommendations before the project goes forward. And then you will be asking for approval action to recommend approval that this project move forward in our process. So I'm going to turn it over to Rodrigo, I think, who will provide a brief refresher of what the project is about, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments.
Yeah, thanks, Greg, and aloha, everybody. As Greg mentioned on last month's meeting, members of RGII who are here today, Andy and Kristen, presented an overview of the process for the EA, and the EA draft was given to all of you to review and bring back comments, feedback, or approval on today's meeting. Greg asked me to do a quick review of what the project is, and just as a refresher of why we're doing this. There are new regulatory deadlines set by DOH, which say that by July 15, 2028, any underground storage tank that don't meet current safety regulations, such as being double walled or self-contained, need to be either replaced with tanks that meet regulations or removed. Seeing how we were up on Maunakea, it was decided that the best path forward was to remove the existing underground storage tanks and replace them with above ground storage tanks. If you look at the utilities base yard at Halepohaku, this is a location of the equipment that's going to be removed. We have a diesel storage tank in this area of the driveway, the gasoline tanks on this area right here, and the dispensing pumps right here. Another view of the area is the picture on the left shows where the gasoline on the ground tanks are, the fuel dispensing pumps. On the right is the diesel access ports for the diesel tank, and top right is the leak detection meter root system that we currently have in place. The current infrastructure was installed in the CDUP 1430 during the construction of the HP facilities in 82-83. The Vita root leak detection system was installed in 98. It has gone through annual testing and certification with no leaks detected since it was installed. The current infrastructure consists of a 12,000 gallon single wall fiberglass diesel tank, 2 gasoline tanks, a 4,000 gallon single wall fiberglass tank, a 2,000 gallon single wall fiberglass tank, 3 dispensing pumps, and the underground fuel lines that connect the tanks to dispensing pumps and to the old generator building and to the mechanical room at the common building where the hot water heater is installed. Currently, we're using about 250 to 500 gallons of diesel per month, primarily for heavy equipment, road and snow, and for the backup boiler, and between 2,000 and 2,500 gallons of gasoline a month, which is used by the CMS fleets, observatory fleets, and other CMS MKSS vehicles. This graph shows the disturbance or the removal that will be taking place during the project. It shows the areas where the tanks are going to be removed from, trenching that will be taking place over existing pavement, and trenching that will be taking place over previously disturbed soil area. There's grass, some invasive grasses, and basically dirt. That gives you an idea of the magnitude of the project. We're proposing to replacing the 3 tanks with a total storage capacity of 18,000 gallons with 2 3,000 gallon tanks. They are above ground, they're metal tanks, double walled. They will be installed on a concrete pad with a tertiary berm or with a berm acting as a tertiary containment system. These tanks are fully integrated, meaning that the dispensing pump system is built into the tank, so there will be no need for running underground fuel lines anywhere in the facility. Everything will be mounted on a single pad, reducing the footprint and the volume of fuel stored at the facility. The other advantage of these tanks is that they're stackable when they're not being used, and they can just basically be forklifted off the pad once we decide to vacate the facilities, or we decide that there's no need for having fuel tanks up there anymore. The proposed location for the new pad is on the east side of the base yard in a currently graded area that's used to store equipment. That's roughly the approximate size of the pad that will be poured. And this is a rendition of what the 2 tanks will look like and the location. The location was selected. We looked at another couple of locations and the EA lists them. And the site that we are going for, the one we mentioned in the previous slides, is preferred for a couple of reasons. One is the one that will require the less amount of grading to be done to build the slab, and is the one that's furthest from the Summit Access Road, so it's the one that's most hidden from visitors or from people driving by. The other 2 locations are far more visible from the road and require a lot more grading work to be done to level the area. Not only that, but there's another advantage of doing it where we're proposing is if we do it where we're proposing, we can install the 2 above ground tanks before the underground tanks are removed, and that way not disturb the flow of fuel to the equipment. So we can have operating fuel tanks up there, and then we can empty and remove the underground tanks, and that way not disrupt the fuel supply to the heavy equipment on the mountain. And that is the short version of the project. As I said, SRGII provided the draft EA last week. Also included in that document was the archaeological monitoring plan. And so at this point, I think we would like to open for discussion, comments, recommendations, questions, or votes of approval, I guess.
Well, I'd like to ask Kirsten, Michelle, Andy, you guys want to add anything before we open it up for comments?
I think Rodrigo covered the proposed action really well, so thank you for that summary. I mean, in terms of the EA and the analysis, we didn't, there are, we're not anticipating any significant impacts. Most of the impacts would be short-term related to the construction activities. And even those, are pretty minimal. There would be soil testing. We have that in the EA, and that's like, as Rodrigo said, there haven't been any detections of leaks, fuel leaks, but we do propose soil testing just to make sure that there has been no leaks, and if any leaks have been detected, then appropriate actions would be taken to remove that affected soil. Not anticipated, but that's in there. As Rodrigo said, there is a draft archaeological monitoring plan as one of the appendix to the EA, and that will that prescribes archaeological monitoring for the ground disturbing activities. So the removal of the underground lines, the removal of the tanks, any of that will have an on-site monitor. In terms of like environmental impacts, pretty minimal. There's, it's a pretty disturbed area up there. I think there's one tree that might have to be removed or trimmed, and CMS is planning, kind of in association with a lot of the other work they're doing at Halepohaku, to continue doing outplanting. So that will help kind of just enhance the site generally. It's not really, there's no endangered species being impacted. So that's kind of more of a, doing it as part of the project rather than doing it as a mitigation or anything like that. Yeah, I think so. From, kind of the analysis perspective, we didn't find anything that would, other than kind of standard, best management practices when they're doing construction. I think culturally, I think we found there's potentially some noise impacts, and if people are, in the area and they can request that construction be, well, they might have to give some notice, but, request that construction or loud noises be paused, for them to have their cultural practices respected. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything major. In addition to the EA and the archaeological monitoring plan, we are also in the process of developing a site approval assessment for that would be for DLNR as part of their, it's the kind of easier, we don't have to do a conservation district use permit. We originally thought we might have to, but DLNR has given us instruction that we can go forward with a site approval application. So that will be the next step that we're kind of doing, kind of hand in hand now with the EA. So in terms of process, and that's also a much quicker process. So yeah, and then for the EA, hopefully we're going out to, all the committees that we went to last month. This committee, MK-SOA, Kahuku Mauna, and the Environmental Committee. Hopefully, if we get approval from all the committees, the next step would be to take and integrate any feedback, that we receive, kind of prepare a public draft for review, which would be incorporating any of those changes, and that public draft would be submitted to and published in the environmental notice, and that we would, in addition to it going out, statewide, we would also send notification to those people that we've contacted throughout the process, just to kind of inform them that the draft EA is available for review. And then after receiving public comments, and that also goes to agencies for review. And then after receiving those public comments, it would be finalized. And we anticipate that a FONSI or a finding of no significant impact would be issued with that. So that's our plan for moving forward.
Great, thank you, Kristen. Okay, Maunakea Management Board members, any feedback, comments, questions that we can answer? Julie?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Rodrigo, could you go back to that one photo where you showed the 3 sites? 2 questions. And I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. Did you say that there was already a cement pad in the preferred proposed site?
It was, give me just 1 second.
Yeah.
Here. Which slide again, Julie?
The site that had the there you go, that one.
Okay. And the question once again?
Did you say that there was already a slab there on the preferred?
No. So
Okay.
this one, number 1 is where the current diesel tank is. And there's a steep slope on the Makai side of that path. So that would require quite a bit of grading to level that area out. And like I said, since it's right above the diesel tank, we wouldn't be able to install the diesel tank until we remove the existing one. Number 2 and number 3 are on concrete, they're on the asphalt. Number 3 is the area where the gas pumps, the fuel pumps are, but those are already on a elevated slab, so that would require some demolition of the existing slab plus demolition to remove all the existing underground lines. And then it's at a slope, so it would require also a significant amount of grading, removing the layer of asphalt that we have and do grading to level out either areas 2 or 3. So while it is paved, it would have to be demolished and regraded to allow for the construction of the new slab that would support the 2 tanks.
I think she was asking Rodrigo about the location of where the new tanks, where you're planning to put the new tanks, and that does not currently have a concrete slab.
There's no slab on there, but it is all graded. It's a road that provides access to the back of the dormitories. So it's already graded, it's already leveled. So it will require a minimum amount of groundwork to make it level and suitable for a pad.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? Or things you want us to integrate into the recommendations on the implementation of the project?
Can I ask one about the schedule?
Sure.
So you're starting at the beginning of 2027, is that right?
At this point, well, if everything goes right, we should be done with the EA process and permit and all that in the summer of 26, right, Kristen?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping that sooner than
And
that.
then
Yes, it'll be
starting
done
in summer
by
26, we write the request for proposals for engineering firms. And I'm assuming a 6-month period of time to receive proposals, to evaluate them, to select a contractor. And then in the beginning of calendar year 2027, launch the project. So that gives us a year and a half to
6
complete.
months flow, right? So
Right, and now, so here's the other thing, a couple of things, so we start on January-ish, or first quarter of 2027, that gives us a year and a half to complete the project. One of the biggest delays I expect will be availability and delivery of the tanks, they're coming from overseas. The other thing to keep in mind is that from some experts in underground storage tanks have told us is that the July 15, 2028 date is not set in stone. So basically, that July 16, you don't start paying fines or fees. As long as you demonstrate that you are moving towards removing existing tanks and replace them either with compliant tanks or something else, then you're in good shape. So, but we do want to, there's a couple of things associated with the July 2028. One is the DOH deadline, the other one is the transfer over from CMS to MKSO. So ideally, we would like to have this off the books before that date.
Yeah, so I'm asking because I can see two things that could go wrong. One is an archaeological find which brings in SHPD, and I have
Right.
no idea if that's a quick process. Would it be immediate? Who knows? And the other is you find a paleo nest in that tree that's.
Right. And actually, this picture here shows the one tree that is kind of in the way. And by the way, we were working with Justin on a couple of projects. One, he's been replanting paleo trees all over the site.
Oh, yeah.
And there are a whole series of paleo trees, of amana trees that are in close proximity to structures that are against fire code. So Justin is working on a proposal to trim, prune, and remove a whole series of amana trees to meet fire code. So this one would be a fire code.
Oh, so it hasn't happened, eh?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because of the proximity to
The
the
fuel
bank,
tank. Yeah.
it would have to be removed or trimmed back significantly.
I mean, I would prefer not to pick it up because it covers it,
Yeah, no.
but it's too close.
It's not so much that, it's I don't know how long it takes, a paleo to fledge.
Right.
You say in the plan that you'll wait for it.
So, but like I say, the July 2028 is not,
Right, that's
not a hard stage. So as long as we demonstrate that we're moving towards it, we can play with letting the birds find a new apartment.
And there
And-
have been, I mean, the site has definitely been, surveyed, for archaeological finds. It's gone through numerous surveys. So obviously not anticipated, but obviously also never know. So not expected, but obviously it could happen. And if there is a fine, then yes, I mean, the process, to record that and, deal with SHPD and kind of that whole process would definitely add to the length of the construction project.
So keep in mind that we're digging out holes that have been pre-dug to put the tanks in and the lines. We're not digging new areas. And there won't be much, if any, digging required for the erection of the slab. Andy, you had something to say?
I was just looking at the drawing and it's a silly comment, but the guy standing in the drawing there, the rendering, is that a cat by his foot or his dog?
Yeah.
That's a cat.
Well,
It's
because-
they just trapped it and they're on the way down to bring it down here to the Humane Society.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Other questions, comments, feedback?
No. I don't see any. Can I get a motion to recommend approval to? Oh,
Sorry, I had one more question.
oh, yes, go ahead, Julie.
Visibility wise, what is the color of the unit?
What I'm sorry?
Visibility wise, what's the color of the unit?
The tanks are white, but that doesn't mean they can be painted of an earth tone or the coating they have is weatherproof, corrosion proof coating, but they can easily be, painted over with a matching color to match all the buildings around the area.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, Julie, if you were thinking of including that.
Did you want us to include that in as a recommendation?
I would include it as a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I might say
You guys
that.
get that, Michelle, Chris, and Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually think the reason they're white is that it has high reflectivity to avoid heating. I think that's why all petro tanks are generally light
White.
colored for reflection.
Yeah, if it's a safety concern that would change it, then yeah, I'm not gonna object to it being white. But if there is a possibility of blending in with the surrounding buildings, that would be my recommendation. If it doesn't, as long as safety is the main factor for this whole thing.
Okay, great.
And Julie, that side, even if we take that Mamana tree down, is pretty far removed from the road. The only place where you could really see these tanks would be from the utilities building or down from the upper parking lot at HP.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I think we're ready to move on a motion.
Can I get a motion to recommend approval to the for the acceptance and proceedings for the tank replacement?
Yeah, motion to approve it proceeding with the placement of the gas replacement tanks.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Andy. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye or raise your hands.
Aye.
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 Okay, recommendation approved. So please proceed accordingly.
Okay, we will, and thank you so much for your review and for your feedback. We appreciate that, and we will keep this process moving forward. Thank you for your time.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you, Kristen. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you,
Michelle.
We hope.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Rodrigo.
Bye. I'll give you all to your party.
Okay, then. Greg, are you gonna move into your report?
Yeah, I'll cover Kahukumana, then we'll go into my ED report.
Okay,
Okay, so at our October Kahukumana meeting, we introduced the draft EA just like we did Maunakea Management Board last month. We will be meeting this Thursday to provide their formal to get their formal input. I did note that they did request, it was Kahukumana that did request a confirmation of known individuals conducting ceremonies to make sure in the area, to make sure they were included in the outreach. And we have confirmed that they were, at least the ones that we know of, and they will be reviewing this with them on Thursday. At the initial presentation of the draft EA, there was no other real substantive comments of any sort. We also covered at the October Kahukumana meeting an education and outreach report by Kaleo. It was an update, and Kaleo will be presenting that update in a few minutes. So I'll let the update speak for itself. I will say Kahukumana is very, very appreciative and very, very appreciative of the efforts that Kaleo and his team are making to outreach to different groups that our outreach has reached before. And I think you'll get a sense of that when Kaleo does his report. We also reviewed with Kahukumana proposed legislation that's being considered by MK-SOA. I will be covering some of that information in my executive director's report in a few minutes, so I'll leave it for that. But the Kahukumana does want to stay updated with whatever legislation is being proposed, particularly as it impacts jurisdictional issues between DLNR and MKSOA. I also updated Kahukumana in October on the cost sharing discussions that we've been having with MKSOA. We have provided MKSOA with our fiscal year 26 budget data. And we've shared with them a summary of some of the discussions that I have had with Executive Director DeFries on cost sharing options. Currently, MKSOA has a permitted interaction group. It's called the Performance and Monitoring Permitted Interaction Group, or PIG. We were informed that they are reviewing the options that John DeFries and I have discussed, and they have with the goal of making a recommendation to the full board on the cost sharing proposal with UH at their December meeting. I also updated, the last thing was that I also updated Kahukumana on MKSOA's planning process, which I've provided you folks as well. And the latest intentions that had been expressed by MKSOA on establishing advisory groups. Obviously, Kahukumana, the Environment Committee, and us, we've been wondering what the status of MKSOA's establishing advisory groups going forward is, particularly as they are getting into the development of their management plan. The most recent information we have is that MKSOA would like to have in place an astronomy committee and a cultural committee by the first quarter of 2026. They have asked us at CMS, Nahu and I, for some information on charters, missions, purpose statements for these groups, or at least for Kahukumana. There is no mention yet about establishing analog groups, advisory groups, analogs to either the Environment Committee or Maunakea Management Board. So at this point, I don't know, we have no information about what they plan to do in the way of forming those kinds of committees, advisory committees. We certainly will keep you folks updated as we learn more. But as I said, the most recent information we have is they have stated an intent to have an astronomy committee and a cultural committee in place by the first quarter of 2026. So those were the items that we covered and discussed at Kahukumana. We'll be covering some of these like Kaleo's report and proposed legislation a little bit more in detail in my executive director's report. But let me just stop here and see if there's any questions about anything I've covered thus far.
Yes, Greg, sorry. So the cultural committee, is that similar and or replacing Kahukumona?
As I understand it, they would like to have some of the existing Kahukumana members continue on if they are so inclined, so that there is some continuity there. But it would be similar to what Kahukumana provides to us in the way of input from a cultural perspective on projects, policies, plans, proposals, etc.
Thank you.
But I don't have any details on how big they're thinking and what kind of representation they would want and whatnot. Any other questions about Kahukumana? My update on Kahukumana. Okay, there's no questions. Shall I move into my executive director's report?
Yeah, yes, please,
Okay.
please do so.
So the first item on my executive director's report is that I've requested Kaleo to come in and do an update on our outreach and educational programs that he's been working on and implementing. So we have Kaleo online, and I do believe he has a couple of slides to recap his work in the last several months. Kaleo?
Hi, aloha board members. Can you guys hear me okay?
Aloha.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so we've been having a lot of positive feedback from the community in regards to outreach. Between July of last year and June of this year, we had as you can see, a total number of 689 participants that came from different groups from our local community, statewide, and even we had one international group and a few groups from the mainland America. With these group accesses, we in some cases we align the field work or the project or the activities for the day with their curriculum or research. In other cases, it's aligned with professional development. We work with a lot of faculty from like Teach for America and also with the University of Hawaii Manoa teacher education program, the graduate program there. We're trying to set up something next summer with the IFA Manoa. It's their faculty development. So the purposes for these working with different groups kind of vary according to the needs of the groups. One of the consistent high schools we've been working with for the last couple of years, Lanakila Learning Center, the teacher there aligns her curriculum, her science-based curriculum with the conservation efforts and the cultural-based curriculum with the culture and history relating to Mauna Kea. So a lot of, again, broad range of groups and a broad range of people that we work with. In addition to working with groups on the Mauna, we do a lot of in-class presentations. Most of those presentations are local University of Hawaii Hilo classes. There's a couple STEM classes. Today we did a presentation to one of the Hawaiian history classes. And there's also a freshman experience class, they call them Kuleana and Community, where we talk about stewardship efforts on the Mauna and all of that good stuff in relating to leadership development. And this is the first year I think we needed to kind of not schedule any more groups between now and the end of the year. Just based on the feedback, there's been a lot more interest generated, so we as of this year until December, we've coordinated, I think, as much groups as we can handle up until this point for the year. And as you can see with the upcoming projects, there's already next year our projects and programs are actually filling up as well. So it's a good thing. Kind of at this point, I know we get some budgetary things we got to look at, but I maybe need to bring on potentially an employee, to kind of help. Right now, I only have 2 interns that's helping me. They're doing a great job, but just the volume of people and the volume of requests we've been receiving, yeah, we need to kind of figure that out, see if we can bring on an additional person for support. Before I move on to the next slide, do you have any questions regarding any of this? Again, this is data from July last year to this past June. Yeah. No questions? I think the more important partnerships we've been establishing is with the Hawaiian Studies classes from Kahakaulo, Kealikolani. There was just there's not, I don't like to say hesitation, but I think the teachers, the kumu there had to really, they waited a little while to see if the CMS projects and stuff would align with their in-class work. And we've been actually, from now until next year, we've been coordinating a lot more partnerships and presentations to their classes and accesses to the Mauna. So that's a really important partnership, I think, for us, just because, yeah, there was some hesitation at first, and now not so much. Yeah. And if you look at the pictures on the side, it's just the different groups that we work with and how, it kind of looks when we doing our field work and our outreach near the Viz and around Halipuaku area. So, yeah. And these are just more pictures. That's pretty much all I have to report. I think one of the priorities for the education outreach program was creating and coordinating more opportunities for our community to get involved on the Mauna, again, at varying levels and for different purposes. But as long as the Mauna and stuff benefits from the projects, we set it up. So, again, yeah, there's been a lot of interest being generated, and there's a lot more people and groups that are interested in participating in the stewardship efforts on the Mauna. So, yeah, just wanted to show you guys some fancy pictures too, about the different groups that we work with, and just the varying age groups, educational levels, cultural backgrounds, and all of that. So, yeah, so far so good, and it's continuing to grow. Yeah, that's pretty much all. Oh, go ahead. Yep.
I have a question, Kaleo. Thank you very much for all your efforts. Prior to your joining,
Mhm.
was there a person that filled your spot, or is your spot newly created?
From what I understand, there was one person that one part of responsibilities was education and outreach, but it was
Just a
not a
part.
big part. Yeah, just a part of it. And that person also had a couple different responsibilities. But as far as I understand, I'm sure Nahua can explain a little better. It is a new position. And my primary focus is the education and outreach.
Right.
But I make sure I align our accesses with the conservation and the resource management efforts of our resource management team. So, yeah, when we set up a group and the field projects and all of that, I coordinate directly with Justin and his team just to make sure we're all on the same page and there's a kuleana for the day. Yeah, so
Right.
so we're
And
all
you can
working it
help each
together.
other.
We help each
Right.
other.
Yeah.
I can bring the people and they can provide the work, the scope of work for the day. So far it's been working awesome. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you for all your efforts.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, I gotta figure out how to stop sharing. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, did you want to add something?
Yeah. So Khalil's position was a new position that we created. We really didn't have an education and outreach person. It was kind of peppered throughout OMKM at the time. But when I started, there was no education outreach. We were highly relying on the Viz and what they do and Imiloa. So this really has been able to take what CMS does and really focus it better on outreach and reaching different organizations and bringing people out to the field. One of the big things that Greg and I are really big about is getting kids out on the land, and using Maunakea as a classroom rather than, I think always in the past, we always were thinking, how can we create a curriculum? And we decided we need to step away from that model. How can we support teachers who are teaching things about Maunakea and provide Maunakea as a classroom? So that's what we're doing a little bit more of, and tailoring our outreach in that way. The other part I'd like to highlight is Kaleo has really spearheaded our staff training program. A big thing that Greg and I really wanted to incorporate was staff training and staff protocol, teaching staff about protocol, so that way they can, when they have a kids group that comes in and chants, that they can receive them. And so they've been learning Oli, they've been learning some pules, and just doing some really great staff training, which Kaleo has been spearheading. So that's been going really well. And he does that, I think it's every other week now, Kaleo. Yeah, so
I just wanted to highlight that. So he's doing education outreach, he's doing staff training, and he also is helping with some of our, I call it cultural in the field work, providing that connection between our cultural the community cultural practitioners and CMS. So
Great work.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have Khalil and, when he joined, what I asked him to do was really focus on establishing relationships with schools, with community groups that we had common interests and could build on common interests and build our relationship and our engagement around those common interests. So whether that's a curriculum a teacher has or a project that students want to do or whatever, how can we help support that?
And I also wanted to say, when Khalil first started, a lot of people didn't trust us. And so he's been helping, with that, the things that Greg and I are doing on the education outreach, really helping to build trust within the community. So that's been the biggest thing, is that people we're very unsure to come to Mauna Kea because of all the things that have been going on. But now they're starting to trust and take a chance again on us and come up and bring the kids.
Probably really an education piece. I mean, I think, Kaleo, what you've been able to do is create the right bridge, because education is not all book learning. And I think that's the tendency, especially in years prior. I know growing up, everything was you do it in the classroom, you read the books. But now to be effective, it's not that. You have to make it real. You have to make it something that people can associate with through experience. And that is really only obtained if you can touch and see and feel and experience Mauna Kea, be up there. I mean, when I first went up to Mauna Kea, you know, very different from what you read and what people have written. But to go there, it's a whole different education. So, mahalo for all that. And to Nahoa, you and
Yeah, thank you. And
Greg.
just before I leave, yeah,
I was just saying
yeah.
with Greg
So I
and
just like to
Nahoa.
share that oh yeah, we have really good leadership and I have a lot of support. So I'm fortunate for that. And before I leave you guys, we have today we did a presentation, kind of aligns to what you were sharing. We presented to a UH a history 400 level class, history of Hawaii, and they've been talking about Mauna Kea and culture, history, and whatever. And they're gonna have an opportunity to come up this Saturday and actually experience the Mauna. And even next week, we're working with one of the Papahula classes from Kakaula. So they actually, part of their midterm and finals is they had to learn Mauna Kea hula, and they're actually going to perform them next week, Saturday. So I just really like how things are lining up. Yeah. So, and I feel really good being up there. I feel good with what we've been able to accomplish so far, and it's still continuing to grow. So I'm happy for that as well. So, yeah. If no more questions, I'm going to leave you folks. And yeah, mahalo nui.
Aloha.
Thank you, Khalil.
Mahalo. I think the comment I wanted to say was, Greg, you and Nuhua have actually, it was outside the box, right? Because nobody told you, but to figure out another way of creating connections, Very, very good. You can't do it same old, as they said. You know, you need it, you need something different.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to do outreach where we just sit around and talk about stuff. I wanted to do outreach in a way that we actually are engaging with the community and working with them on common interests. So I appreciate that, Roberta. There are no further questions on that. I'll move on to the next item in my executive director's report. I wanted to give you folks a brief update on I've updated you folks before, I think it was the last time was in September, on the status of legislative proposals being considered by MKSOA. Just a quick recap. When Act 255 was passed, it was acknowledged that it was not a perfect act or perfect law, and that there would likely need to be changes made, amendments made. Last legislative session, MKSOA introduced, I think it was 3 different proposed amendments, and they did not get any traction. They weren't even heard. So they've revamped their proposals and are planning on introducing this set of proposals this next legislative session. We have been briefed on these proposals, but we don't know exactly the details of everything. But I think it's safe to say that the overall purpose of their proposals is to ensure that Act 255 is clear, that MKSOA will have the final say on all aspects of land use on Mauna Kea. That includes issuing of leases, issuing of permits, enforcement of rules, et cetera, et cetera. That's clearly different than what the university's role is at this time. One item that we have talked to them extensively about is to make sure that it's clear how they will hold their property interest. I've mentioned this to you folks before. You know, we hold it through a general lease. They are looking to be able to hold it either in fee or some other similar form by act of law. If they were to hold it as a lease under DLNR, then they would still be subject to the land board. They are also looking to have the transfer of the leases, the existing leases, and the MK observatory subleases transferred to them by act of law, but not the conservation district use permits, at least those permits that are associated with the observatories. They would like the observatories to hold those leases, those permits directly. And you'll see that in one of the other proposals. They are seeking clarification. We're told they're intending to seek clarification on Chapter 183C. Julie, this is the conservation district matter. And that they would be the authority issuing all permits except for permits required for their properties. So if they wanted to do a project like what we're doing with the underground storage tank, they would then have to apply to the land board or to DLNR for a permit to do that. I can tell you that DLNR is not supportive of that concept because of the bifurcation of jurisdiction. So that'll be an interesting conversation when this comes forward formally. They are looking, I see a typo there. They are looking to collaborate with DLNR to process the CDPs. They do not have the bandwidth to, just like us, we don't have the bandwidth or the expertise to actually review and process a conservation district use permit or even a sublease or a lease, for example. We have to rely on other, either DLNR directly or we rely on our internal UH processes to approve, negotiate and approve a sublease. They are looking to find a way to basically work with DLNR to have DLNR do that for them on their behalf. What that looks like is unclear. As I mentioned, they also would like UH to proceed with amending and negotiating the transfer of the current conservation district use permits that we hold for the MKOs to the MKOs. They want to have that happen by act of law, that we would move forward to do that. UH plans and administrative rules, current plans and rules, they're seeking to have the law amended to say that those would remain in effect until their plans and rules are in place. They do anticipate, it appears, that they won't have all of their plans and rules in place by July 2028. So they want by act of law to adopt ours. And then they're seeking this notion of sovereign immunity, which is basically protection as a state agency. And I'm sure Gary could speak more to exactly what that is about. So this is our best understanding of what they are moving forward with. We've not been formally consulted on any of this. This is just information that they have shared in their board meetings and that we've discussed with Maunakea Management. So how that is going to happen is unclear. I believe I shared with you folks before that the regions have formed a permitted interaction group, the purpose of which is to meet with MKSOA's permitted interaction group and with DLNR to address these issues, this proposed legislation. Those meetings are starting to happen. We can't really discuss those, but they are starting to happen. So it'll be interesting to see how those discussions roll out. So that's what's happening on the legislative front as best as we know with MKSOA. Are there any questions before I update you folks on the transition itself?
I'm just curious, and maybe there isn't an answer. But, and I don't know if, Mike or Wayne want to comment, but it sounds like what they want done isn't, I guess, I don't, is it even close to what the regions were looking to do in terms of, legislative proposals? Or, is there a comment, either Mike or Wayne?
Yeah, we haven't, if I can, Mike, I'll start off. We haven't had that discussion with our permitted interaction group, so I think that would be premature and probably better discussed in executive session.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I will say one thing that I think is evident when you look at what's on the table here. We at the university do have, and I don't want to speak for the regions, but I believe they would support this, that we do have a concern about the readiness for the authority to sit down with the observatories to begin discussions around new leases. And if you look at these proposals, these proposals don't really address that issue. They don't address the timeline issues that we've expressed concerns about. If you recall, Doug Simons came in several months ago and did a update from the astronomy perspective of, you know, some of the challenges related to negotiating these leases with federal and international countries, federal agencies and international countries. And that is not a straightforward, you know, process. So we do have concerns that these proposals themselves don't really help address that issue, the timeline issue. Any other questions? Okay, I'll go on to the next item on my executive director's report, and that is a quick update on transition matters in general. You know, there are a number of things that are in motion that we're in discussions and planning with. You know, we've briefed you folks on the progress that the MKSOA is making with their planning process, their process to develop a management plan. That is continuing to roll out. There's no significant sort of anything to report there in terms of where they're at in that overall process. The one thing that is front and center, however, is tomorrow there is a Ways and Means meeting here on the big at Imiloa, where they have requested a briefing specifically on the Maunakea Stewardship and Oversight Authority and the transfer of governance and management responsibilities for Mauna Kea from the University of Hawaii to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. We did a similar briefing a couple years ago, right after MKSOA had been formed, legally formed or officially formed. So this is a kind of a follow-up. WAM, Ways and Means, is actually on island for a series of 3 days of meetings with different groups and whatnot. So we're just one of them. I have worked with DLNR, MKSOA on a joint briefing that we'll be providing tomorrow. On behalf of DLNR, they will be represented by Ryan Kanakaole, who is the DLNR Deputy Director. He is also the DLNR rep on the MKSOA board. John Kumeji and John DeFries will be there, and they will be focused on the updating the WAM on their planning process. And then CMS, I will be providing an overview of the support that we're providing to helping get MKSOA stood up. Some of the issues I'll be covering include the work of the Joint Management Committee, the various issues that we are addressing there, which include, let me do a quick recap of something that I've shown you folks before as well. These are just some of the issues that we've been trying to address at the Joint Management Committee level, helping MKSOA try to figure this stuff out and how it all relates to their management plan and their amendments and proposed amendments and other things. We will also be talking to them about, I'll also be talking to them about the long-term transition working group. This is the group that's looking at what's required to transfer assets and liabilities between the organizations. I'll be covering that. I'll be covering some of the more nuts and bolts things that we have been doing to support their process, such as the numerous education and orientation briefings that we've provided to the board, to their management team, and now to their consultant teams. The on-site visits that we've helped them with to get their folks up to speed with what's required in managing the Mauna. And, you know, a variety of other things like, you know, providing them office space, some interim administrative support, use of our vehicles when they need a four-wheel drive, et cetera, et cetera. So we really want to make sure that WAM understands and has a good feel of the range of things that the university is doing to help support MKSOA getting started up. It's only an hour and 15-minute meeting, and then they'll be headed off to other meetings tomorrow evening. But that's been occupying our time, or at least my time, quite a bit recently, is getting prepared for this. Let me just double check to make sure I covered everything. Yeah, so those are all the things that I'll be covering tomorrow. Any questions?
What time is the meeting gonna be?
The meeting's at 4 o'clock at Imiloa. Okay, if there's no questions, turn it back over to you, Roberta.
Yes, the next item on our agenda is executive session. Is there a motion to move into executive session?
Yes, I'll make a motion. I want to make a motion to request that we move into executive session to consult with our attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities pursuant to HRS 92.5A4 regarding the board's decision-making process in our joint management role with MKSOA.
There's
Second.
been, thank you, Julie. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion approved. We will now leave the regular meeting or executive session.
reopening.
Travel is for our board meeting, and
Oh.
includes the NSF.
Uh,
And if the government's not open, we can't send documents to the NSF. So the whole thing may be cancelled. So, yeah.
I can't say that I've heard anything that looks promising about reopening.
About once a week you get it. Oh, it's looking good. And it's looking bad again.
Well, California has put on their ballot the redistricting.
Yeah.
That passed.
That
Pass,
passed.
pass, yeah.
I've been watching.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't been paying much attention to y'all because I'm like, oh, the voting is happening today.
Was it New Jersey, Virginia, and Maryland?
No,
The governor.
New York.
New York.
New York.
New York,
Oh,
yeah,
Mamdani, yeah.
Mamdani, yeah,
Yeah.
so they all won.
That sends a clear message.
And the margins were pretty decisive.
Yeah.
What Fox News has to say.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, do you think I need to wait for Dr. Bergen, or should I just reconvene and then I?
What do you think, Gary?
Wow, I mean, if you have a quorum, there's no reason you can't proceed. It's just a matter of whether you feel that ready or not.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'll wait a little longer.
I feel like right when we're about to do something, then he shows up.
Yeah.
As soon as we make a decision, he's like, hello, I'm here.
Well, to switch back and forth, if you're
Yeah.
not very tech savvy, it's confusing. So I think Pat's the one who helps.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the Civil Beat article has 20 comments. The majority of the comments are what you would think pro TMT.
I haven't looked at the comments. I looked at the article this morning, but
I think this morning there was only one comment about not having the footprint being too
Here
big
he
for a
is.
street suicide.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Bergen's here. Okay, I will reconvene the Maunakea Management Board. November 4th meeting is now 7:07 p.m. For those attending via Zoom, raise your hand if there's anyone else attending with you. Seeing none, for the record, all Zoom attendees are by themselves. Greg, I'll turn the meeting over to you so you can summarize executive session.
hey, thank you, Chair. So in executive session, we consulted with our attorney on issues related to items covered in my ED report, specifically the MKSO legislative proposals and how those may impact us, along with MKSO transition matters as they relate to our ongoing responsibilities and liabilities in managing until July 2028. No decisions were made, no recommendations formulated, no votes taken. The meeting was for information sharing and discussion purposes only.
Thank you. Do you have any announcements to make?
I do not. Yeah, I do not.
No? Okay. So next meeting, public meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 2nd at 5 p.m. Please have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and thank you for attending the meeting. Appreciate everybody's commitment. With that, I will adjourn the meeting. It is now 7:09. Aloha and have a happy Thanksgiving.